title and credits, quality control, mastery, and delivery. In fact, someone like me, quality control, it was when I did Eagle Wings that I know about quality control. My film was sent to US, and those guys took it to their lab to make sure that every frame, and from there they could tell where I used some video clips that I didn't have, and I put in, they were able to detect it. And they told me that I used a HD clip in my film. I couldn't argue because as an editor, I thought my color grading skill and everything, and they could tell. Imagine that. So I now know that if I'm shooting, I should know that if I'm doing a 4K resolution, that should be the base. So every camera that is 4K, because we're going to still come back to 1080, but they will detect that it's not 1080. I don't know what they did, but they told me. And they asked me to change those shots. I have to go get a high resolution of those shots, something similar, and I changed. So if you watch Eagle Wings that is pirated, that was pirated from Nigeria, it's different from the one that those guys pirated from the US, you know. But just about 3 shots, so you might not know the difference. Me that know which shot has been changed, right? So quality control is key, especially if you are trying to go internationally. Quality control is, and the mastering and delivery, of course, it falls back to that quality control. So, what is editing? I love editing because for me, as a financier was telling you, during the planning, we went to film school, they told us that it's okay to plan for 2 years and shoot in 2 days. Yeah. Because they say that when you're planning, you don't spend too much money. If I'm planning, thinking about it, I'm talking to 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, I don't have to pay people to stay in a hotel and cook food for them. But the day that we commence production, as principal photography, you can't stop at that time. When you stop, you spend much more money because you have brought people, you are feeding them, you have paid for transport, everything. Once something goes wrong at that time, you get and say, no, let's go and come back tomorrow. You have killed yourself. So it's better to plan longer and shoot shorter. So they told us all that. Now, in editing too, just like any that before you commence your editing, you need to plan for your editing. Right from when the person is logging files on set. That's why sometimes now we say we want an editor to be on set with us. Those who are making film want an editor. Because the editor understands these files. And I tell people that if you have a drive and you shot a film for 100 million and people have gone home, that hard drive that you're holding in your hand, that's the 100 million. So if you now have an edit, if you didn't copy the files well, and somebody's not copying the files, whistling away, he's going to eat food, he didn't finish copying, he abandoned the computer, come back, and he didn't just show one message. He said, I'm sure he finished. He continues like that. They now go and clean all those cards. When you go for edit, they're now looking for files. That editor is wicked. I mean, if you have seen devil, you have not seen devil, that is devil for a filmmaker. Because it's wrong for you to lose any file when you shoot, right? So logging is important. And right on set, there's something that I know we don't do here much. There's something that happens between the camera and the audio recorder. There's a time code. Many people don't do that. We use audio to sync our files. But if you do use time code, automatically, wherever that file is, once you ask that software to find it, you go and find that file. They talk more if you actually move those files to be together. So for me, when I'm logging, I keep scene 1. I'll create a folder day 1. Then I'll keep scene 1. If it's scene 1 was shot on day 1, I'll keep it there. I'll look for the audio of scene 1. Because when the guy is recording, would have labeled them, I'll leave them and put them there. So I have to log, bring those materials to be in a folder very close to each other. So that when you import into the editing software and you want to go and say link or sync, it's easy for the computer to locking because you are trying to reduce the work of the computer by doing the logging. So logging is the first thing that is important. You log the files and even sometimes make a copy of the log files in your drive. So that I'm saying that 100 million now, we'll make a copy of the 100 million million, take it and keep it in a safe place, so that your editor will not tell you that I was coming back with your this thing, they attacked me and collected the hard drive. You understand? As the editor is crying, you will die. Because the editor is crying for small thing, you know what has happened to you. But if you have a backup of the whole thing, you will say, your fear will that what would they do with the drive, right? But at least you have a backup. And as soon as that, if it's me, I'll make another backup before I hand over the next drive. So, and once you do the rushes and you log in, you can't find it. Even if this editor didn't finish the work, it's easy to pass it to the next person. They brought some job to me, and they even brought me wine, big wine. I told those people, let me see your rushes. The rushes were not all together. I said, where's the continuity person? They had a fight. So I said, yeah, you call the guy, because this kind of recording that we're recording, and they say, still rolling. And then because they're in a hurry, they slip that they're going to come now, no action. And then the audio file is not labeled. You didn't call the show to say, scene 5, take 2. How will I know? I have to now sit down and start listening to the conversation to find what matches this picture. How much you want to pay? So it goes back to the proper login, and from the person copying the files, right? So that it makes editing easy for you. Because imagine if materials are not cutting correctly, there might be decisions that the director took that are very nice, but the editor is going to pick the one that he can find.
Of course.
So you can see that a great script can be messed up in editing because the person couldn't find the files. You want the editor to be able to go through a scene and have all the rushes, sometimes preview quickly, and when you start picking them, you say, the actor, the way he reacted here is better than the other side at that time. So he finds it. But if he's not able to find it, he's going to put the one that he sees. So at the end of the day, a great film can be destroyed because the editor could not work well. And it might not be the editor's fault because you did not give the editor the right materials.
But maybe when the sound guy was directing, recording, he did not record the scene of the continuity.
Yes.
So that you have him notes.
So that is why everybody must be together. But at this level, we are thinking that the person that gave us material gave us everything. And then we now look at our login. So cutting involves, editing involves cut, trim, insert, place, remove, delete, assemble. So generally, whatever you are doing, what will the editor do? The editor is trying to tell the story cohesionally so that it flows. So you know where to start from A, B, C, D, like that. Because when they were shooting this film, they shot it in many days, and you are going to bring everything that happened in many days to flow in the same sequence, right? This is why we can shoot somebody cooking in the kitchen today, and maybe we didn't finish, and he came to the living room to pick something and go back to the kitchen. But the day he went to the living room to pick something can be 2 days after. At another location, and 2 days after, 4 days after. That's how we shoot. But in editing, he would have been cooking and go to the living room and come back and continue cooking, right? In editing, that happens perfectly. Now, that goes back, we now talk about transitions. Let me quickly move to the next slide. So I'll send these materials to you people to read too, so that we will not have to stay too long on this. Now, short progression, transition, establish continuity, pacing, time, illustration. So let's take the first stuff on our list is short progression. The way you start a scene, because you should know that every scene in a film is a full film. It has a beginning, it has its climax, it has a power change. If the scene belongs, like we talked earlier, we say a scene belongs to the actor, right? But in that same scene, the scene can switch to the next actor. So let me give you an example. This man, his wife, just heard that he has a son with somebody. And the woman is challenging the man. In the scene, she has the power, the man is sober, and is trying to explain to the woman that I didn't know that I had this child. And the woman says, how can you do this to me? She has the power. you will see that she's dominating the man, and the man is pleading. Then somebody walks in and say, Agnes, where have you been? And the man say, do you know Agnes? He say, we've been married, and she just walked out of the marriage. What will happen? Power has changed hands, right? So now the man has taken power of the scene and say, Agnes, you've been married before? All these years with me? The woman say, I can explain. The woman has lost her power. In that same scene, because something happened, right? So there's a turning point in that. Now, if we are to edit this scene with shots now, I'm opening the shot with the man. The director must have taken many shots, and the director might want to start differently. You know, I'm the opinion that the directors who shot the film should actually sit to the editors, because there's something. The person that just talked to you here, Ukwechi, that finished talking to you, when we were in film school in Colorado, everybody did a project and gave me to edit. You don't pass it to me to edit for them. I edited his beat perfectly. To me, it was fine and everything. When he saw it, he said, Papa, this is nice. He didn't pay me money. When I was there, any dollars from them. He paid. Then he said, he want to sit with me so that we can cut this again. Initially, I felt, Abba, what do you want to cut again? Do you understand? He had his plans, how he will begin the scene, and the climax of it, that the shot he would take at particular points, which he had directed his actors, how they will react. But me, I had read the scene, and I just know that, okay, A, B, C, D, E, F. You understand? So when Okwechi said, let's start with this shot. Initially, I was angry, like, about what's the difference? Then I started with the shot, and I now saw what he was hiding. You know, the other shot was open shot. We saw everything. We saw somebody waiting. But the shot that was following that guy on the cart coming did not show that man. So he came and he said, John, you know. So it's from him calling John off camera that we now went to the long shot that we saw John coming into the shot. I understand what I'm saying? So that little thing draw our attention more, because it's on the car coming there. He thought, John. But if we took the long shot, John is standing, we are seeing John. The man is driving and coming, we are seeing him. And he said, John, so what's the surprise? So we needed to create a surprise for the viewer. Do you understand? So we started doing, and I saw something in that. We kept going, and by the time we finished, the same piece was different from what I edited as an editor. And I said, this is why I'm always saying that the director who directed something should edit. I work with my uncle Tekubesi here. You know, people don't know how come I succeeded so much. I work with Tekubesi. I work with Lancelot. I work with Dade. I work with Kabat. I work with, and these people, I work with them as DOP. Then you want me not to do well at the crease. You understand? So, like him, I was on his set. I would say, I would see something. When he starts his own, he will break it down. I want this here, this like that, like that. He didn't know. At that time, I was like, oh God, just give me like this. Just give me like this. Just give me like that. When I went back, I understood pace. And I use those things now, because he was thinking about his pace. I'm thinking of the shot I will just take and go. So you can see how much shot progression matters. This scene was started, the way I started it, I started with a open shot, because I know that was, you say, establishment shot. But the director wanted to control certain information and started with the moving shot of the character before we now went to the wide shot. Then after the wide shot, as guys started working for the wide shot, as he's approaching the man to shake him, we come to a closer shot, so we see his face looking at him. Do you understand? So shot progression matters. And you can, if you apply it well, it works so well. If you want to transit from me standing from that chair to this place, you were on my medium shot, but if I'm about to stand up and come to this place, naturally you transit to a wider shot, because you're going to see me move here. So once I land here, I start talking to him, and the camera angle changes. You know why the camera angle has changed. Because if I move to this place, if the establishment everywhere, if I move to this place, I've helped you to transit in such a way that if the camera changes here, you won't be surprised. But imagine I sit there and you don't do that. The next time I'm talking to him and we are cutting like that. Even you'll be like, where are these people? But the shot that we use in moving that movement helps you to know where we are now. So we go back, that's the transition. That's the transition part I'm talking about. Transition is not transition for putting a transition between one clip or the other, but how you transit in a scene. You understand? Even when somebody is receiving power, if that woman that later was begging the husband, there's a kind of angle you take that helps the narrative to show that this man is on top now. Do you understand? You do a low angle for the husband this time, and the wife, you come from a high angle, and she's looking at the man and say, please. But initially, the man was on a low angle, high angle, the wife was dominating. So it's helping the narrative of the woman quarrel with the husband. So you're using picture composition to help the narration, the narrative, right? I hope you understand what I mean by that. Okay, so, and as I talked about establishing continuity, because continuity, if somebody go out of here and is landing in the other shot, it must come in from the other side too, right? But the transition I said from moving from that chair to here also is part of establishing continuity. Do you understand? So if I come in here and stay here, and then I'm going through this door like this, and in the frame, you now receive me coming from that side. In that same cut, is going to confuse the viewer, right? Except I cut and show a shot differently and bridge time. So let me give you an example. If I pick this and bring it to my face here, right? As I'm picking, you go to a close-up shot, I pick it, you come to a wide shot, I bring it here, right? Now imagine in my CU, when you want to take my CU, you took my CU with this thing here, right? This one is not going to work except I pick this shot, pick this like this, and then you show my leg to something else, and this thing end up with me here. You can tell that within that time it's possible for me to turn this. But you will do this only if you had this problem and you're looking for a solution. Or else, why would I take these glasses from here and end up this way? Right? And the beauty of continuity is that if I came here and you come to a close-up shot, and I'm taking this thing, you go to a wide shot and I move with it. By the time I put it here, I want to talk, you come to a close-up shot. That editing is just so sweet. Have you noticed it? Right? Now, if I'm here and you take a wide shot of me, and I come here and that same wide shot, I pick this thing, same wide shot, I come and stay here, I'm still on the wide shot. That is dead. Do you understand? Except in movie, your camera is tight. I come here and then you move with the camera at the wide. As I'm coming here, you're pushing the camera towards me, and then you're seeing my emotions, and I'm saying, what do you mean by that? It's a different shot, and he's been driven with the emotions because it's still moving, right? But if I do this and you put camera on tripod there, and I pick this thing here and say, I'm talking, and the camera is just static. In fact, the DOP is looking through his phone, and we are just acting. Sometimes I even go off the screen and come back. Go back to the screen and come back. They will know that we're not serious. But if he's looking into his eyepiece, and if his hand held, if I move, he follows me, he reshapes the shot, I go this way, he's following me like that. That shot is alive, right? So editing is picking shots that can tell your story and enhance the story. Because it's been filmed in pieces. It's the editor that put it together to make a journey out of it, right? Let's look at what's next there. So we have different softwares. DaVinci Resolve Editing. Who uses DaVinci here? You use DaVinci. So DaVinci is there. This is what I use now. I don't use any other software again. I used to use Final Cut Pro a lot. It's an editing software too. Then the common software that everybody knows is, Adobe Premiere. I'll pass the page. How do you go back there? Okay, Adobe Premiere. This Adobe Premiere is a popular software. And but even them, they're becoming very strict now. To get a copy is difficult because we used to get free copies. So people will give example that it's free. It's not free anymore like that. DaVinci is even easier now. Once you buy a Blackmagic camera, whether it's a pocket, you get a $400 software free because they'll give you a card. So me, I have many of those because I started buying Blackmagic from 2.5. In fact, I've given out some of those dongles now because I have the key, right? So that's what people use. So the software is there to gather anything you have on your drive is what reflects to the software. That's why I say the logging is important. Many producers have run into problems because their materials were not logged properly, and then they are editing and there's corruption because they are going everywhere to find files, and the processors are suffering to this until out of so many struggle, some files are getting corrupt, and then the story cannot complete. And this time you will be ignoring some things, just put to edit whatever is there, and it will suffer. Meanwhile, you had good intention when you were shooting, but the materials were not handled properly. So I think one thing is to make sure as the editor, you request for that. In fact, I will tell you a story of this, my brother who told us about financing a film. He's a shrewd businessman. He knows what he wants to do. He ran into a problem. He shot a film. What was the film? And he brought it to me to edit. The film had issues, technical issues. He came to me. He came all the way from Lagos to Abuja for me to edit, work on the film. I worked on the film. I suffered work on the film, worked the audio, treated the audio, did everything. And I say, if you are shooting your next film, I don't mind to be on your set to do this, copying the files, because the whole problem was because materials were scattered. So it would take you a long time to find something. So it took me 2 weeks plus to edit a job that I could have done 3 days. And I suffered because night and day I'm finding files. So we finally did it. And I said, look, the person just didn't copy the files well. That's the first thing. Secondly, your DOPs, they are not following action. But the actors perform so well. And I say, if you're doing your next film, because I know your actors, your story is good, your actors are good, what you lack was technicalities. And he said he didn't know other part. In fact, if he was honest, he would tell you, I'm the one that pushed him to start finding out these things. So he now went for the second film. When we were about to shoot, he said, they shot the film. He flew all the way to Abuja. I collected a hard drive. He said, how much? I said, wait, let me check the materials first. I checked the materials. I started seeing the same problem we had with the other film. As finished, I just carried his drive. I said, bros, see your drive. He said, Papel, I came all the way from Lagos to edit this thing. I know you can do it. I said, bros, I know what I suffered in doing your film, and I advised you. If I did not talk to you about this thing, but I will not go through this thing, fixing this film again. And truly, he took this film even to Ghana, and he had the same problem. I told him that it is not, we can fix it, but it will take a long time to do this thing. And just like I told you, some people brought film to me, brought me wine, said, how much? I said, let me look. I want to look at the material. I said, look, leave them. I drink the wine. I say, I can go ahead and drink it. I said, because this one, I'm not going to drink this one, it choke me for neck. Because this is wrong, right? So get your materials right. Okay, so visual effects is the editors that do the visual effects. There's something we call in-camera effect that helps production seriously. The in-camera effect is things you do on set. What you see this Hakim effect doing now. When Hakim does those things, you add visual effects to it. It makes it much, it enhances more. If you say you not do some in-camera, sometimes your visual effect might look funny. For instance, if they put smoke here, and there's a bit of smoke, and later I can put fire to it in post, it will look much, the reality will show better, right? So there's in-camera, then there's the one that you do. The in-camera is the one you do on set, right? So the set design, the calculation, and that's why when you're doing a film, you bring a visual effect person on your set who will direct that part. As a director, you have talked to your artist, you have prepared everything, but the visual effects person is calculating distances and position so they can go and add something later in post and add to what you're doing, So it's part of editing. And if you don't do it well, it looks funny. And truly, we're really improving on our productions these days. When I see certain things, I say, yes, were moving. And quickly, let me slip this thing in. Some of these things that we're talking about now, going by what we had in the first class, if we consider these things, it comes with money. Production design is one thing that, when Pechi was talking about, is important. In fact, when I was doing Eagle Wings, the guy gave me a budget, and I said no. It was very high. But when I saw what he did with the budget that I had, in my mind I said, next time I'll even put more in that aspect, because that is what your camera sees. Like he said, somebody brought a film, he said this film is 4 million. How many of you were in the first class? He said the film is 4 million. And I keep telling people, if you want to shoot a film, you reach Abuja, for instance, you go and stay in a big hotel, and you are spending money, you're not reflecting the film. So when I was shooting Eagle Wings, I said, look, the artist will say, we will not want to eat the general food. I said, bros, I'm eating it, so we'll eat it, because you're not going to show for the camera. And they thought I'm joking. The day we want to do food props, they brought the food, real food, sumptuous, because it will show in my camera. My camera will take it. He said, I said, yes, because I'm shooting film. If you keep eating heavy food outside, and they say, how much you save? And I said, I can't see one shabby food inside this thing. It don't help me now. Do you understand? If they want to wear props, whatever, wants it to give me what I want, get the props. But the guy say, I want to stay in this room, I want to stay. I say, bros, the place you are staying is safe. You are staying there. Do you understand? But if we were to get location that will shoot film, we went to rent a whole hall, like a banquet hall, somewhere to do the presidential office. Yes, it showed in the film. So you should also know that when you are doing film, calculate what your camera will capture, because that's what you're going to use at the end of the day. So visual effects is part of editing. And here is some pictures. I was trying to, because the thing is not very clear. If you see this guy seated here, the green screen things that you are seeing here that we recreate. So it is not difficult for us to do this, our quick films, to achieve this kind of result. But like Okwechi was saying, I know there is a way film looks. There is a way film looks. Go and watch foreign films and see how they look. It goes back to how it's being captured. Because until you start taking, if this lady here appears on a film camera, a 35 millimeter camera, there's a way she looks. She looks out of this world. If you pick phone and film her, she will not look the same. In fact, phone will make you be as if they curve you somehow, right? Now, if we do that kind of film, and you are watching it on a big screen or anywhere, you are taken into that picture on a journey. And when you finish, you say, you remember. I'm telling you, like Okwechi was saying, 80% of our films, after you finish watching, I even ask you what is the story, you can't tell me. You can't tell me. They will finish watching that one, you are on to another one, you forget. But there are films that you have watched that you can tell the story because of the characters that went on a journey and evolved from stage to stage, right? So how do you achieve that when you don't have enough time to do a set, light for the situation that we're talking about, lighting for the mood and all that, and light your background? Because after you do a 3-point lighting, right, you light your background differently. How do you achieve that? Back, back, back. Do you understand? How do you get emotions from people when you do back, back, back? But we're assuming that this is given to you by those who have already done the homework very well. Your own job is putting it together. But this example of visual effects are the fact that you can bring the live picture and mix with things that computer generates. Because you can see this man is jumping here, it's inside the studio. But the final result is jumping on top of a building, right? And this is what the editor does. The camera crew doesn't do this. People that are good editors are people that are able to sit in one place for longer hours, and they'll be even forcing them to stand up. But if you have an editor who's good, but he wants to be seen at the park, he wants to go with some friends on this thing, and sometimes this thing is time bound, right? So if an editor develop like me, he knows me, I don't move around because I'm a core, I love editing. So if you call me anytime, most times if I'm not in the field shooting, you call me, where at the office? If you call me at the office, and if I have a job to edit, I can sleep in my office easily. It's normal for me, right? And I've been delivering jobs for people very well, because once you give me your job, I will leave everything. If there's an event that people are going, I'll weigh the event and weigh the importance of production for the person. I say, I beg, may other people go. I'll stay and do the work. I've not gone for some festive periods because of editing. I'll say my family should go. Or sometimes I'll go and meet them after. But I will deliver the job as an editor. I want to deliver the job. Now, sound design. Sound design starts from the recording of this audio on the field, right? If the person recording sound, we assume that he gives you the sound as expected, right? So let me quickly tell you, hello? Let me quickly tell you something that we've been doing here that I am not totally happy about. These body mics that we're wearing, they are meant for programs. Do you understand? They are actually supposed to be fixed outside your body, and it will point out, and you can speak into them, and they'll take. So it's for television. The boom mic is the one that's meant for film production. Because as I'm talking to you in this room now, if I go outside, I start talking, it will sound different. The environment matters to that mic. That's why it's boom up in the air. So that if I talk, if I'm calling somebody, Ima is down there. If I put the mic here and I'm calling Ima, it will sound very terrible. But the boom guy would put the mic slightly backward because I'm shouting. And it will sound natural that I'm calling someone from afar, right? So I don't go with the body mic per se, but the sound guy will insist. I'll say, okay, just have your backup sound, but you boom. And that will tell you that if you're watching makings of our films abroad, you see, no matter what, you see them carry that boom. No matter how it is long, you understand? So that should tell you something, that why are they insisting to put that mic there? And they are making this mic there. So they could have put one person, 3 mics. Maybe put one in his ear, put one here, put one behind. But they know that that sound is muffled. So they take the sound outside, right? So sound design starts on set. For you to have, it's better for you to have 2 boom mics on set than to plant bikes into 2 people and the sound guy will just go and stay one place. Those who are going, talking, it will be hard, right? And there's nothing you can do to that sound in post to make it better. If we're here to illustrate things technically, because me, I'm trying to go through this. If I'm going too deep technically, some of you might be feeling bored about it, you'll be lost. Because there are certain sounds, if you take them on location like that, forget about them. There's nothing you can do. So there's a level you have to take sound. It shouldn't be too high and it shouldn't be too low. And the noise, like me, I shoot film with AC on. Why? Because the boom mic that the actors that I want to boom, when I'm taking a master shot or a wide shot, I'll ask you to throw the boom in the air. But once there's a close-up shot, I want the mic to be competing with DOP. The mic must be close so that the ratio between noise and the actual primary sound I want will be small. So that in post, I just take it out. I need to be clean. There's a way I can take out that and the AC vanishes naturally. So you're not going to sweat. Do you understand? So all this dabbing, say we don't have AC. You'll not be dabbing somebody because all that dabbing spoil the actor's mood. He's planning to deliver. They say he's sweating. They cut it. Pick up again. After a while, he decide to release it like that. Oh, more come to go now. Just so because he's supposed to enter character. He don't tire to go back and forth. So he just say, "Move do one like that." Want to come. So he's supposed to enter character, say and start internalizing what he's supposed to say. So sound design on set is key. But as you know, in film, there's the background sound and incidental sounds, things that happen. Like if I'm to pick this thing now and I drag it on the table, you know, I can drag it like this. You didn't hear anything. But in editing, if you put something, it will enhance what just happened here. I can move here like that, and there's no sound on my feet. But in post, you might add slightly, clap, clap, clap. It will enhance that. So the editor does all those things. It's called sound design, you know. So, the score is done. When you finish editing, they will give to somebody who does the score. He's watching the scene and he's playing, following. If you score to the film, it's different from when you lay sound. Laying sound is as somebody there they play music, play. So when the woman is moody, you are still playing. Do you understand? But if you score to the picture, the editor sits there, and the woman is coming out. He starts with some strings and some violin like that, and dropping. Ding, 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 ding. It will help the image convey that thing. Before the woman say a word, you already know what she's going through, right? So that is where you score the scene, right? But if you are lay music, the same music will play from beginning of the film to the end. All right, so consider that. I put a piece of software for sound editing where you have different, you can see how many tracks you have because you have other instruments. Meanwhile, when you are sending a film abroad, remember there's something they call, what's the name now? You will send the dialogues in different tracks. You know why they do that? You send the dialogues in different tracks. Because they are going to rearrange it, and sometimes they will mute out your dialogue and introduce a new dialogue, making your film have more value because it can be transcribed into another language. Like Eagle Wings, they are making the French version of Eagle Wings now. Those people told me, because that's part of the contract I signed. So when I was sending the sound to them, thank God I had edited everything on tracks. So you have 2 tracks for dialogue, right? Then later when you are mastering it 5.0, you put the dialogues track in the middle. And then you put all the other sound on the side of the speaker and the back. That one is a different technical thing I would have wanted to know. You know when you go to cinema, if you're watching foreign films, you hear things passing behind you sometimes, right? It starts from here. It's from here you do it. From the sound, the editing software. So I did that. If those of you, I don't know anybody who watched Eagle Wings in the cinema. In fact, when we went to test the film in Blue Pictures in Lagos, the lady said, this is the first time that a Nigerian film is played in the cinema that the other speakers are working. It's because what we do is we put everything on 2 channels, left and right. We compress everything and put on left and right. But there's 5.1 sound that is played out in the different speakers. And once you master it like that, once they put on that projector, it knows, it will just send it to those channels. So you hear bike will pass from there, you hear the bike. So you feel the movement of the screen even in your head as it has passed you. So it's called 5.1 sound, and it's the editors that do it, or the sound designer that will do it. But every editor should be able to do it, right? So that's about that. And remember that if you log your materials well, don't do this thing that we do. Although sometimes because the computer is not that fast, you export something and delete the file and bring the exported file. No. Because a time will come, they might ask you to re-edit a portion of that thing, and you would have locked it by exporting and bringing it back so that you save space. It's better for you to have a drive that has everything inside. You edit, and you are saving in that drive. Because if you're working and you shoot a film that's 2 terabytes, and you copy it inside a 4 terabyte, you know, when you're working, the software is creating files so they can remember. So you have space to create files you're not going to be deleting. So that if, for instance, I want to sell a film, because Eagle Wing was, I told you, the version that is on DSTV is different from the one that I have for other places. Because there are things that they removed. And they just call me. I just duplicate the timeline and pull out those things that they felt was not good for the market. You know? So we pull out that very easy. And because I had everything that I can always work on the thing, they said, do this, I'll come back and do it. They said that. So I imagine that time that will be exporting and coming back. You will start editing afresh, and it will change the way they saw it. It will be a problem. Do you understand? So the same thing with sound too. We had sound. So me, I was experimenting 5.1 on my own to go to cinema, and I read and I did it. The next thing, they asked me for 5.1 sound. I said, okay. It was good for me. So I now realized that when I was talking to one of our colleagues, his film was made and compressed to left and right. By the time they asked for it, bara, he couldn't get it. And then everything's locked, is compressed and exported. How do you separate this audio now? It's a challenge. So he now advised me, I already done it like that, so I don't have any problem. You understand? But I'm just saying, as an editor, if you're editing at that level, think of all those things. Your material should be the virgin material, as in the raw materials. You always have them until, before I deleted my rushes, is after the film has done festivals, done this and that, and it's everywhere now. So I have a feeling that there's no need for me to think of editing again. Any error what day may day there, that one now, don't day. But I kept it for that long. And by the way, that film was 20 terabytes, raw materials. Then we put a 32 terabytes drive in the system and edited it. Because it was ARRI open gate, and every file was very big. Okay? So color grading. As we know, the cameras now shoot flat. Before, cameras were shooting the RGB, so the colors were baked in. So when they film, if you wear a red t-shirt, that is it. But today, because it's grayscale, you have the ability to even change, and the technology has gone so much that I can actually change the color of what you're wearing because of the ability of the latitude of the image. But let me explain something quickly. Because I do almost everything, I'm bringing other things into my class that are not supposed to be there. But as an editor, you should know when you see a file that's not strong. You know about pixelating? When pixels are crashing, when the quality of picture is small. So now, why will I shoot 8K? When you shoot 8K, first of all, you are seeing more than enough, right? But nobody's broadcasting at 8K. No film is screening at 8K. In fact, even at 4K, nobody's actually watching anything at 4K. It's HD. But there's an advantage to go that route. Because as you see this box, the pixels here are supposed to be broadcast at 1000. That's the 1K. The 1080p is like 1K resolution. But before then, film cameras were shooting 2K. They'll shoot 2K, they'll bring it back to HD, so the pixels will be good. But we will shoot with DSLR at 1080, right? Then we'll go through processing it, already bashing it, because it's like when you have water in a bucket, and then you want to put it through, you have water in a cup, you want to put it through the funnel. If the water is not much, if you put it, just goes through easily, right? But if you have much, you put it to swell in the funnel, and then there'll be pressure. The one coming out will have pressure, right? So it's the same thing like when you go through these softwares, they are processing the file. They are hitting the file to shaping it, and they are chopping things out. So at the end of the day, by the time you want to export what has passed through this thing, you don't have much again. And let me quickly mention why our audio musicians are doing well. Musicians before, they were like Zito, and they sang very well, right? But they were recording their music on 16-bit. 16-bit. And 16-bit is the final sound that we're using. In fact, the early phones were even using 8-bit. That's why the sound was terrible. You notice that those early phones, now these phones are using 16-bit. You hear music from them very nice. But those old phones, we call them the China, whatever, they will sound like that. Even the ringtone is terrible. It's 8-bit. And by the time you process it, you lose the 8-bit. So our guys started recording their sound at 32-bit. So we started feeling that we like the way it sounds. These musicians, they are recording at 32-bit. They record at 32-bit, and it's treated down to 16-bit. So when they play at our parties, we started saying, because there's a frequency that's been programmed to hit your brain. So once you get to that level, you start dancing. Even if you don't know what they're singing, you just dancing to it. Because we didn't even know what those people were singing to, but we're dancing to it because their frequency was at that level. So these DSLR cameras, they record a 16-bit sound. Then you feed into the camera, you take that sound, already you are killing yourself. That is why we started using recorders that 24-bit sound for dialogue, and we started getting semblance of good sound, and we could treat it. Are you getting what I'm saying? So things are helping us by the type of cameras that we started getting access to. Blackmagic started doing film cameras, because DSLR camera is actually not a film camera. It bakes in that RGB. It looks colorful, but it bakes it in. Until we started doing flat images by tuning it by ourselves, so that we can later grade was a bit better. But DSLR, you can't pan it. If you pan it, you do like that. You understand? So we move the camera with the action, it will work, or you stay static. But film camera is able to, they call it global shutter. You can pan it, it will not do that, because it's designed to do that, right? So we started getting cameras that make us tell our story better than the stuff. So so the strength of the picture. So let me go back to the 4K I'm talking about. So imagine now this picture was shot 4K. It means that the pixels within this thing are 4,000, almost twice the final thing that we need. Then you shoot 6K. You shoot 5K, you shoot 6K, you shoot 8K. Now when you shoot 8K, you can go through doing a lot of correction. That's why it gives you the ability to even change the color of the cloth, and it will not show any problem, because there are too many pixels. And in the DSLR camera, you see 422, right? 3 colors and the gamma, and 2 other colors are mixing to form 1 color. But in the film camera, it's just like that celluloid. The way the sensor sees it is like that celluloid. You just see everything one time, pop, pop, pop. It's taking everything. But in this other one, it's scanning. It's scanning and forming the picture. That's why you have those problems of those pixels. If you read about this very well, and you're a filmmaker who wants to do something different, you will not touch a DSLR camera. You will want to go with the smallest Blackmagic camera, because it is a film camera more than the DC, right? So the strength, so when you shoot at 8K, grading can be achieved with so many tones. You can recreate the same shots. You can make it look different. You can change colors. You can do so many things. And this is why today VFX is even better, because I can put a rope on myself. They'll put me there. But if I shoot on a high camera resolution at 8K, they will go there and map out that rope. You see me going up without rope and down. In that same shot, they can pick out the pixels and say, we don't want this one to show. That's why you see the baby flying and those. But if you look in the final, you see that there are ropes on the person's body. Because of the level of the baby. If you take that shot with a phone, you can't take that thing out. If you take that thing with a DSLR camera, you can't take. In fact, it will start showing that there's something missing in the image. So this is why, first of all, the camera you use. So if you're an editor somebody come and tell you that this film is for the cinema and that, okay, first of all you think, what do you shoot on? It's we use no, we can't achieve that what you're telling me, because you want me to add this kind of effect to it, it will not work. Do you understand? And then among red cameras too, any film from Dragon upward is actually made for film. All this revving backward like that, they just tried it. They were trying to mess up the DSLR people, so they made those cameras to just enter like that. But if you know deeply, if you use those revvings, I want to achieve film feel. Because that's the way film feels. Film is not colorful. Have you noticed that? Film is not colorful. There's no full color in film. A proper film. I watched Equalizer 3 the other day, and I said, how do we make this kind of film here? Do you understand? This guy's a short start with this man walking into this place. He's walking, you see a dead body on the ground, and it's black. The camera goes back to just a light spotting a place and come back to his face. He goes, he opens the cap, hang it, and as he's leaving the cap, the man is leaving. They plotted that one scene, one take through all those things, and it goes back to those lighting we're talking about. There was no color, but I couldn't leave my seat because I wanted to know where the man is going. And then the next thing, the camera is leaving, he's back. There's a Washington seated there. And this thing I tell you, there are 2 people pointing gun, and there's a Washington's head. But as the camera kept going, then I'm seeing 2 people pointing gun at him. The first shot you saw is a doorway, light on him, seated there, looking down, and the camera just traveling. The camera overtake this man, just going, As he entered the room, you just see two people pointing gun at him. And what happened? The camera stopped for a while. That deep cut, that delay has something to do with you. What is going to happen? They now showed the man. They turned and then cut to this man looking at him and say, who are you? Do you understand? I just like those moments. That's film for me. That's film for me. Anyway, am I making sense? Okay, so color grading, we have, when we talk about cameras, recently we discovered that in Nigeria, if Red make a new camera, everybody is going to move to the new one without knowing why they made a new camera. And I kept saying that it's like you have a Bentley, another person has a Beetle, another person has a Toyota. If they are going to do another Bentley, it's still going to be the Bentley. You might just change some things about it, but the other guy that had the old Bentley can still go on the journey with you and have the comfort of a Bentley. The guy who has a new Toyota and you that has that old Toyota will still drive Toyota and have the feel of a Toyota, right? Except the Toyota is so bad, that's so old. So when we had this craze in Nigeria about new cameras, at one point I just stopped. I said, no, I'm not going to buy a new Blackmagic because I have the Ursa, I have the Pocket 4K, I have the Pocket 6K, I have the Pocket 6K Pro. So when I use the 6K and the 6K Pro, although there are a lot of comfort in this one because it has ND filters, so that is a plus. But in terms of picture, I couldn't pick the difference. So what they now say, they brought 6K, 6K Senior or something like that. They have a new 6K. I said I'm not buying because I just changing name to make me buy. But Red was doing cameras every day. They are doing new cameras, and people were buying, but they kept going. Once everybody hit 8K, technically, nobody needs anything more than that 8K. So Blackmagic even tried 12K. Nobody bought it. Have anybody bought the 12K? They had to reduce the price of the 12K down to the one that was like the same thing like 6K, and nobody still bought because people began to understand that if we are broadcasting at 1080p and we are shooting 4K, we are fine. In fact, if you shoot 2K, you're already above it. It's fine. We now want 6K. We are saying, okay, you give us 8K. We are saying, okay, we get 12. So Red now did new camera, but they did it as 8K. They did another one. They did it at 8K, and nobody bought them because people have 8K and they look at the color science is the same. Because one, the whole thing, a good camera retain is highlights, midtones, shadows. These three things, every good camera retains it. And what makes a strong camera is that between my shadows and my highlight, there's a long gray line. Do you understand? Shadows that are dark black are bad shadows, right? But shadows that look grayish is good shadow because that's what defines you. If I stay on this light and it's hitting me here and I have dark here, right? If I put my key light here and I put my field light here, I retain a bit of shadow because it will define my face. Then I have the backlight to show that I am not flat on the wall. That's all. And every camera that can retain this information can do it. So you now have people having this information at 8K that gives them room to treat it well. But because you want to do market, you kept doing new cameras. And suddenly they realize that, all I want is these things with my lenses. I can use this camera. Do you know, I started using my Blackmagic Ursa bag. I told you now. I left the camera. I was almost dashing somebody the camera. Meanwhile, the camera has very nice fall off. They call it fall off. The way the shadow gets smooth from one point to the other is the strength of the camera. If you put it on the side, it might be strong and dark. If you want to work on it, it will crash. But these other film cameras have a way of naturally having the smooth flow of that. And that my Ursa could do that. Those guys did the Ursa with that information, and because they couldn't sell it very expensive, they stopped it. Now, recently, I picked the camera, I took it for a shoot, for interview. By the time I looked at the image, I compared it with my new 6K Pro. I said, these guys, they cheated also. This camera, I now clean it very well, I put it there. For me, that no, I will use it to shoot something. But if I call somebody and say, use this Ursa, I say, that old camera. But if you are a cinematographer or an editor who understand highlight, midtones and shadows. This is why Tarantino will say, I will use my film camera, like you're saying. Those are people who know that those things have this thing naturally. And this is what you used to tell in story. These emotions we're talking about, they fall within here. If you like somebody well, and he internalizes a feeling, the picture will pick it, right? And it is defined by these three things. Contrast is to increase either bright to say the person is happy, or make it dark because the person is sad. And of course, saturation is the color, which in film is not that it's the RGB. It can be any color that we want to use. It can be even brownish, but it depends on what you're trying to do. So these components, once a camera gives you this thing, and the editor can color grade and use this, control this thing very well without picture being messed up, crashing, that is it. So this is where the secret of everything is, right? Now, titles, those ones are basically, there's a way, the way you watch films on all these big channels, there's a way their credits are. So I kept craving to make credits like that. So I had to buy these credits because there's a way we have come to understand how big film credits roll. Do you understand? So if you want to behave like a big filmmaker, you look at some of those things, you can buy them or can recreate them, but there's nothing new really. You understand? You can learn this. So titles and credits are something that editors do naturally, but you can buy them, the ones that are professional ones, you can use them and you make it. So if you watch like Eagle Wings, I had to buy and align them, and you could see if you watch, this thing looks like all this foreign film. In fact, many Nigerians tell me that when they were watching the film, they thought it was not a Nigerian film until they start seeing Nigerians inside and then all that, you know. And when I hear that, I feel, okay, I really made the effort, right? Okay, so I talked earlier about quality control. Even Netflix will tell you to shoot certain percentage of your primary camera. Your primary camera is the main camera of the shoot. So if you're shooting with a RED, for instance, and it's a 4K RED, they expect that 90% of what you have shot is going to come from that RED camera. You can do pickup shots with drone, 4K, with GoPro to take some action shots. Because if you are shooting a film and there's a sink, somebody washes his face, and water is pouring inside the sink, and you can get that kind of shot, which will run for some seconds. The guy looks at the mirror, like that, fetch water, as it's pouring, the water is pouring from that angle. You just take that bit of shot. If you insert it, it's not a problem. It's not going to be so much, so that can pass they will not mark it. But they expect the main camera to have at least 80%, 90% of the shoot. And you cannot put a RED under the bowl. Except you create another bowl, put the RED, put glass, do this thing. When they take that shot, you now come and start doing editing, which is back to the editor's this thing. So quality control for me, when they tell me that I have to, and I pay for it too, those guys over there, they will take money and do everything, but they will write you and tell you this one, this one, this one. They wrote everything. So they took it, the film to their lab, run it through whatever, and they were able to pick out. That's when I respected them. When they pick out those shots, but me as the editor, I knew that I needed some shots. I went to my documentary and picked them and inserted them. And if I had shot that documentary with 4K camera, it would have been no problem. But I shot it with my normal it was not DSLR that, it was 2.5. So the picture is strong, but it's not up to the resolution they want. And they could pick it out. So now I know that if I'm making a film, I have to cover ground on all those things because you don't know how far you want the film to go. So quality control is key, There's some advice I wanted to talk about. Last conclusion. I'm not able to read this thing because it's far. I jumped. Let's see. I don't know. It's not easy now. This is mastering. Okay. But if you don't master it properly, you will see that if you send it out, some people will play it. If you don't master Rec 709, which is the final color science for consumer. Like I explained that in audio, those guys had 16-bit as final sound. So you record in the studio at, have any of you been in the audio studio, like audio studio, and sat inside and hear the way the sound? If you hear the sound when they are preparing it, sometimes the kick is at a different frequency. But when they go into the mastering, they control the frequency to suit everything. Do you understand? It's the same thing like what you have here. After you have done your film and done all that, let me tell you, there's something I didn't mention here, but let me just let you know. There's something that these people add at the end of their production, grains. Anybody know about grains? You can see it sounds like you are coming to spoil the picture yourself. Imagine you shoot something and it's so perfect because film is not digital. Film, the real film that we've been watching in the cinema is not digital. And this cloth, if you put a digital image direct on it, there's a way it has some white spots. Have you noticed that you're showing a film on the projector and you're seeing as if you are seeing the highlight is too white, right? So the grains, they mop up those highlights and they bring out the shadow. So your shadow is not black, your highlight is not white. Do you understand? This is after you have done a good job, you now put that grains last and you now master it. So when they are mastering, so now, I didn't put it here, but that is one of the things that those people told me. When I wanted to send my film to US, they asked me if I mastered it with the grains. So I quickly went online to check what mastering with grains means. You understand? And I bought the grains. So I have it now. I had to buy the grains. And I run it on my this thing. When I took it, so the first film, the Eagle Wings, I went to cinema in Nigeria, didn't have the grains. But when I put the film now on the projector, I see that it's calm. You understand? It's not looking like this. So that is one of the things that we don't do in our mastering. But if you master like that, sometimes when I do a commercial, I put it. Like I was showing my guy one commercial that I shot with them in there. He was saying, this is nice. It's so calm. The grain just level up things, soften things around. So if you look at it, the eye likes it, but doesn't know why he's liking it. Do you understand? It's grains. So check about grains, adding grains to your shot. But if you pick that grain, you see it doing like noise, like that. But you apply to it. If you apply it, declick it and see what the difference. You click, the picture looks dull. You declick it, it's bright. So you ask yourself, okay, so this image now, when you put that thing and send it out, everybody that's playing it can play it nicely, right, because of that grain. So that's something you add at your mastering level. I would have included in the material. So when you do that, if you already put the color signs of Rec 709, it means that anybody can play it. Then you take a step further to put that grains, to mop up those excesses, highlights. That the highlight and the shadow that is taken care of is just to make the picture not to look digital, like film that's supposed to be soft. You can see that if you're watching foreign films, they are not sharp. You notice that? If you're watching a foreign film, it's not sharp. I'm not talking about all these their series. Then everybody now goes. It's just you sometimes with the director to put this together, right? And like he said that time, if this thing fail, they blame it on the director. Which I told you that the director has something he's seen. With my experience with which I realized that if the directors spend more time with the editors, we might get better production coming out of Nollywood, because there's no way the director didn't have something intentional on set. But he finished directing, he abandoned the production, finished directing. So the guy with the editor, he might think he won't think different. So at the end of the day, people who were acting say, man, we nailed that thing. But when the thing come out, there's nothing in your nail. Because if somebody was taking it, if there was a shot that they took, and maybe the lady was not in her element, they now took the next one. She was now in her element, she delivers. The editor wasn't there to understand, and the continuity person was say, that was a nice take. They put the proof. The guy might not even look at he's searching for the material, he didn't see. He didn't put the first one, the lady was not getting it, and we'll move on. So that whole thing is defeated. And you can't go back. So in essence, why great principal photography sets the stage for a film to succeed is the meticulous attention to details details like I told you about short progression. If you are, as an editor, you preview the shot, you read the narrative, you look at the dialogue. If the director is not there, you can recreate that scene in such a way that even the director sees and say, okay, I've seen it in this way, and it can be well. Do you understand? I like to edit like that. Sometimes I can start a scene with a close-up shot. Especially if there's movement, I don't mind starting a shot. Somebody's looking at something, and I'm pulling back gently like that. Then somebody's walking in. If I'm directing, I like doing those kind of, I don't like putting the camera down, action. You understand? I like to start from something. If it's on a jeep, I can start from the picture on the wall, drop down, and then the person is coming out the door and is speaking. Then the other person is there, you come and land. If he's seated, I just come, the camera land behind the person, and that person is still talking. You have not seen this person talking to. Then by the time you reverse the shot, the person look, and maybe stand up. There's no way you will not want to know what's going to happen next. But let's say, I explained to you that time, you open the shot, you might see the other one is walking in like that. It's not as strong as these ones I just said, right? So when you give you those shots, as an editor too, you don't say, I beg, just put a master shot. When you come and say, start doing close-up shot, finish. You put it aside, you edit the thing and finish and go. You're not doing justice to this. So basically that is what I need to tell you about.
All right, ask your question.
Good afternoon. Okay, let me start by saying thank you because if by what you have taught us, I would say if you are not passionate about this job, you wouldn't have been where you are. And now, I am one person that believes that production is a teamwork, whether you like it or yes. So even when you tell your own story as a director, as an editor, you do the same thing, which you have explained. Well, to all of us who are students here, don't mind whether you see me on screen or not. In a production, nobody knows it all. The ability for you to accept critics or criticism, it helps you improve your creativity to anything, anyhow you say it. So in terms of editing, from what you have said, like when I produced my first film, the director took the rushes, but one man just told me I should make a backup. You will not believe it. If not that backup that we had, you wouldn't have heard anything about that movie. Till today, when I called the guy, he was like, blah, 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 blah. I would just see him and say, well, it's one of those things. So for you to probably move on or get the best in this industry, you have to be passionate about it. If not, someone's attitude will get you discouraged. Thank you so much.
We just finished a major project. That is Sakaba Returns. You know how many backup we do? 3. 3 backup. 1 EP whole one, 1 EP whole, last whole one, 1 EP whole one, then editor whole one. 3 backup. Because you're thinking of 300 million naira project. You won't conquer. Are you? Yes, now. How that so expensive now? How do I? So basically, editing makes a bad film better. Editing makes a bad film better. Do you understand? So just as I said before, for everything you hear today, it's about teamwork. You must not learn how to do it, but the fact that you know it, it helps you. Do you get? You can actually tell. And if you're, how many people want to go into directing here? How many of you are into directing? Directors. 1, 2, 3. Cinematographers. 1, 2, 3. Editors. You two. Wait alone. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Don't mind it, but just be a good director, Joe. Yeah, try learn a skill. Yes. Just do something. It is always working.
Me, asking people, I know they take time.
What the time now?
And as I'm here, I've gone out to answer before. People in Abuja, money, but I am always losing. And it's because I'm doing all that.
No, a lot of things.
Editing, photography, documentaries, all those things. Whatever I feel is for I love film.
You loved it.
I'm doing film because I love it. I want to be right. If you pay me eventually, you understand?
Oh, pay you first.
No, it's paying me.
Oh, paying you now. Can't stop it. So please, on the final note, in as much as you want to do all of them, focus in one. Do you get it? Focus. One should be your major. I do cinematography. I do editing, right? But my main place of occupancy is directing. Do you get it? But that doesn't mean I don't know Jack. Yeah, I could not know 100%. Like now, when they said don't use 50 mm for a medium, so I was like seriously? So I must not know that one. But if I'm working with a DP who understands, he can cover me for that one. So, but have one major. No good like some people will say they want to do everything. It's not good. It's not good. Even if you're gifted to make others people chop. All right. So, please put your hands together once again for Mr. Papel. So, we're done with the morning session. The next program now is going to be the red carpet Rasmatas by 4:30. So I really want you. Don't wear school uniform to come that time. So just go and wear your beautiful red carpet dresses, So I come and take pictures with celebrities and start posting them. Hashtag Coal City Film Festival 2024. Is that okay? Have you learned anything today? All right, put your hands together for all the master classes, please. Put your hands together for them. And I've told you, network. Meet people, meet directors. As they take picture, ask them questions, and you can even get a husband or wife here. All right, thank you. See you in the evening.